This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here are your hosts, Jeff Gardner and Sean Preston.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on with us, and that is Scott Seeley of Simcoe United Basketball. What's going on, Scott?
Not much. Happy to be here.
Super happy to have you on. Get an opportunity to talk about basketball, maybe some sports in general, which is my wheelhouse. So I'm really excited to dive a little bit deeper into your world and what you guys are doing in our local market. So why don't we get into it? Why don't you tell us a little bit about Simcoe United Basketball?
Yeah, so Simcoe United Basketball, it's a registered not-for-profit organization that we, myself, Connor Larond, Stefan Rudick, and Angus Roy, were kind of the four guys that kind of started it. And we started it in the summer of 2023. So we're basically a high performance basketball program for, as of right now, for boys kind of high school age that are looking to really kind of pursue playing basketball at the next level. In the case of sort of our area, that's like post-secondary. So whether that's U Sport, CCAA, or if you go into the States, the different post-secondary options in the States. So that's kind of the high level overview of what we do. Yeah.
So, all right, I got a son, let's say he's in grade 11. He's been progressing through early part of high school. I can just approach you guys and say, hey, he's really serious about it, loves it, wants to continue in it, think he might have a shot at potentially doing something if he goes to college, university, some of those other programs you were mentioning. And then you guys would basically take him in on a scheduled regimen and then work on his skill set. Do you guys work with nutrition, stuff like that too?
Yeah, so that's kind of another kind of piece is we're trying to answer your question. Yes, we would. Those are the types of kids who that we want and are kind of catering to. And yeah, so we between team practices, individual skill development training, strength and conditioning. We touch on nutrition. We build in some community connection stuff and mentorship. So we're trying to, make it a holistic program and not just the basketball side of things. Trying to encompass all of that with the goal of, getting these kids, giving them as much opportunity and coaching and training as we can to allow them to stay local and still pursue the goals that they have. That's kind of one of the big things one of the reasons we started this was just myself being here for the last, 18 years and coaching a lot of basketball, especially at the high school level and high school age groups, is a lot of kids started to feel like they had to leave Barrie or Simcoe County to get and go to the GTA to get what they wanted. And some of it was justifiable, but a lot of it wasn't. And so, we just kind of decided that we're going to, start something local that the kids can be excited about and give them what they need. So yeah,
I love that. I love that because you're just giving more opportunity, especially the kids with those skill sets that might not got on notice, because you never know. I mean, if their parents are together, not together, single parent, what are they doing in their careers? What are their work hours? If they can't get rides down to going to make that happen, their dreams kind of kibosh pretty quick, right?
Yeah, we actually probably our biggest success story of kind of just exactly what you said. We have a kid named that's in our program, Jobby Hamilton, who's goes to Eastview Secondary School, and he's played with us since we started. And at least in my opinion, he's a kid that he just actually committed to the University of Windsor 2 days ago, and he would be one of those kids that doesn't have the means financially to leave, doesn't have the means from a ride perspective to go anywhere. And so that's not to say that he wouldn't have made it without us, but I've just seen it so many times where kids they just, sometimes it's about having the vision, like seeing that it's possible, and that keeps them on the straight and narrow, and it keeps them pushing. Whereas if there's nothing to look forward to locally and you can't leave, sometimes those dreams start to fizzle in grade 9, 10. And again, there's nothing wrong if you don't want to pursue basketball. Like, everyone's got their own, but there's a lot of kids that I know of and I've seen that they don't have the ability to leave, and then they don't see the option locally. And so they kind of just let the dream fizzle, and it's over before it started, type of thing. So yeah, that's we have a few. Jobby's probably one of the biggest success stories we have, and we have another kid or two that are probably going to sign somewhere over the next couple months and be off playing at the youth sport level next year, that are in very similar situations. So it's been awesome.
Could you elaborate for us? I might not be overly familiar with basketball listening to this show, about like youth sport and some of those other ones that you mentioned there off the hop. I like basketball, but I'm not. It's kind of like soccer. There's like, a bazillion under little, you this with all different kinds of letters attached to it. Like, what's that process from coming out of high school and some of the opportunities the kids have? They're moving up the ladder.
Yeah. So in Canada, the two leagues that you can play in, it's all tied to the scholastic side of things, academic side. So the youth sport would be the league that Canadian universities play in. So in Ontario, that would be like McMaster, Western, University of Windsor, University of Toronto, Lakehead, Queens, Carleton. And then you take that across the country. Right. That's our highest level of basketball in Canada, that league. And then the league that is, there's also a corresponding league for Canadian colleges. So Georgian College would be an example locally, and then Algonquin College in Ottawa, et cetera. They have their own league for just colleges, and it's a great league. There's great basketball. It's probably a step below youth sport in terms of just the level of competition, but it's really good basketball. And so in Canada, those are probably the two pathways. Obviously in the US, there's a lot more, but yeah.
Yeah, pretty competitive considering the population they got down there.
Yeah.
So where'd your passion come from, man? With basketball, that started at a super young age. What age did you get into playing the sport?
Myself, yeah, I started playing. I'm trying to think. When I was very young, I moved to the Philippines and lived there for 2.5 years. When I was in grade 5, 6, and half of 7. So that was where I got introduced to the game. That's their national sport. It's crazy over there. So just organically got kind of exposed to the game there, and just played a lot, and no formal training, no coaching, just literally everyone just played basketball, and that's what we did. So that's where was my first introduction. And because of playing all the time there, I got decent. And then when we moved back to Canada. I don't know why I got into it or kept doing it. Maybe I got a head start being over there and stuff, but I just, for whatever reason, I just loved the game and put a lot of time and energy to play. And I think just having some success, and it kind of snowballed, and the style of the game, the camaraderie of the game. Probably when I was in high school, the game was the late 90s, was Jordan was winning 3 straight championships, and Kobe came into the league, and Iverson, and it was just kind of the cool thing to do. It was kind of on the come up at the time. So I kind of probably just got caught up in that. And yeah, that's kind of where it all started. So.
Nice. I'm curious to ask you, you obviously played in high school. How far did you make it down the line before stopping right before the NBA there?
Yeah. So I ended up being able to make to play at the youth sport level. So I left. I grew up or I went to high school in Thunder Bay, so
Okay.
Northern Ontario, and I was able to figure out a way to get to play at Western University for 3 years, and then I transferred back to Lakehead in Thunder Bay to finish off my eligibility. So yeah, I got to play a full 5 years of basketball at the university level, and yeah, it was great.
That's really cool. Not a whole lot of people can say that they made it, pretty far in pro sports or semi-pro sports. So to say that you're able to get your time, especially doing something that you love, you know what I mean? Having that passion, you've been playing it for your whole life. Like for me, that what basketball is to you is like what hockey is to me.
Right.
I never made it past. I got called up to like AA hockey. I never made it, anywhere further from that. I've got somebody that we work with, and he made it and played in the ECHL, and barring an injury, could have probably even made it further than that. So, it's always cool to talk to somebody that got to play out their dream for as long as they could, right?
Yeah, it was a great experience. But like looking back, it was more just, again, I don't know why or what created but I just love playing. I love putting the time in. I loved working hard, and it was just something fun to do. So I'm happy I was able to play as long as I could. But it was never like just happy if it worked out the way it did. It wasn't like a big vision, or when I was young, I'm like doing all this stuff to make that. It was just like, I just loved playing day after day. We kept doing it. We had a good group of friends that wanted to do it, and kind of happened. So it was great.
Nice. So you came out of playing youth sports, and then you're like, okay, what am I gonna do now? Were you doing anything before you guys decided to put Simcoe United Basketball together?
Yeah, so I moved, like I said, I moved down to Barrie. I'm not from here. I moved down here. I got a teaching job with Simcoe County District School Board. So I was I still am a high school teacher locally in Barrie. So this is more of a side passion project than anything for me. And I've coached between high schools, different clubs, different things. I've been involved in the basketball community since I moved down here in 2008. So
did you always like teaching? Like what got you into deciding
what got me into teaching?
Yeah.
To be honest, it was a little bit of a mix of everything. It was one of the big factors was I knew I'd be able to coach basketball. You kind of have you got a gym. There's teams there, probably dying for coaches. So that was definitely a big thing. And just working with the kids was great. So it was kind of it was something I was like, let's see what this is like, and turned out to be a good decision. So
nice. And now you get to help kids all around Simcoe County. Stay a little closer to home and offer them some stuff that they can learn outside of what, their high school gym teacher or basketball coach would bring to the table.
Yeah. The programs, we're excited of what we're doing, and we've had tons of good feedback. And so, we're happy to be doing what we're doing for sure.
Are there any like myths, any misconceptions that you get out there from, or maybe get to clear the air that people?
So I mean, like the biggest, one of the biggest ones is like, and again, this is one of the reasons we started this program is in probably 2015, 2016, somewhere in that time, the prep schools started popping up, and in Ontario specifically. In the States, it was always a thing. And then in Ontario, these prep schools started popping up, and two things. One is they're very expensive. Like we've heard of kids paying $25,000 for a year to go play at a prep school. And then the other thing is there's no regulation in these prep schools. So there's a lot of stuff in the GTA that's fly by night. Coaches are promising the world and not delivering. Ultimately they some of these people are in it to make money. Some of them are just flat out lying to kids and parents to get them to sign up. And then, so there's been some horror stories of kids leaving Simcoe County to go down and paying a lot of money for not what they were promised. So I think that was kind of another reason we started this. And so I guess in terms of misconception, where I'm trying to get to is that it was only 10 years ago where there was no prep schools and kids were able to stay at their high school, train on their own, play club basketball, and still get to where they wanted to get to. And now, you come along a kid or a parent who wasn't around 10 years ago, 8 years ago, they just think that this prep school route is like, you have to do this to get where you want to go.
Right.
And you don't. And it's funny talking to parents and kids sometimes, because it's just like, you try to warn them, you try to tell them, you try to give them some insight from your own experience and being in the game for so long and knowing the landscape. But so I think one of the biggest myths or misconceptions is that like you have to leave Barrie to play at a U Sport level or play in the States or whatever. Like, you definitely do not have to. Probably one of the examples I always give, and one of the guys who's a mentor for our program, his name's Kyle Julius. I always ask him to share this story, and I share it. Is there's a kid named Kevin Pangos from Newmarket, and Newmarket, it's relatively, 30 minutes away from here. It's not a big deal. He's making over $1 million a year playing in Europe. He made the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he didn't play AAU basketball, which is like kind of where you go to the States and you play in all these tournaments and whatever. So I just use that as an example. Like, here's a kid, 6'1", like good athlete, but not a freak athlete. Never played AAU till his senior year in high school, and he went to 1 or 2 tournaments, and he had offers from every big school you can think of, Gonzaga, Michigan. Could have had his pick of where he wanted to go to school in the States. Ended up being a EuroLeague player, which is the second best league outside of the NBA. Made the NBA for a year and never played club, from Newmarket. So it's just like, and he's an average Joe athlete. You walk by him in the mall, you would have no clue that he was that good at basketball. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, long-winded to say that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions, is trying to fight this concept that you got to leave here to get where you want to go. When in reality, it's the work is the work, and you can do the work here. There's no shortcut. There's no secret. There's no, just because you're wearing some prep school's jersey means you're all of a sudden gonna, your game's gonna transform and you're gonna get scholarship offers. It's not happening. So
Yeah.
sorry, long-winded, but you get the idea.
Yeah, no worries, man. So obviously basketball is a massive, massive passion for you, and you soak a lot of time into it as a part of the, you do your teaching, you have the kids coaching basketball, and then you've got the Simcoe United Basketball outside of that, coaching kids and working with them. So yeah, definitely a lot of time soaked into basketball, and rightfully so. Your passion that goes along with it, certainly enjoyable. But when you're not playing basketball or coaching basketball, what do you like to do for fun?
Yeah, I mean, as I'm older now, it's less and less, but I try to stay active. So spend some time doing that. And then outside of that is trying to make sure we like spending time with my wife, Carly, And then just trying to keep connected with friends and family. Like at this point with being so busy, that's probably the biggest thing, is just making time to try to stay connected with good friends and family, obviously. So
Yeah, man, that community, that sense of community, having your people around and spending time with them is where it's at. And that's a really cool thing, man. So how long have you been married for?
10 years this July.
Atta boy, nice. I'm just about to do it in June this year. So
awesome.
We're gonna get married not too far from here. It's gonna be in Simcoe County at Belcroft Estates, and then hopefully have a nice long tenure like you got going on. I'll be looking up to you, Scott.
Yeah.
Any pointers you could give me now that you're 10 years in?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know.
Any like do's or don'ts or anything like that?
Oh man, I'm probably not the guy to ask, but
because she's a good girl at that.
She's a great girl. It's all good in the big picture. So
yeah, man. When it's a
good thing. It's a good thing.
That's everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I got that too. It's almost like sometimes I can't do anything wrong. That girl loves me, but very cool. Glad to hear that you got your passions, your hobbies, spending time with family. I can totally relate to that. I'm a big family guy myself. We got a nice little circle of friends too. So definitely love soaking time and spending time with them as much as I can. All right, so maybe we'll have a little change of pace here. In life we pick our path, right? We decide to walk down this path we call life, and sometimes life throw things at us. It'll throw challenges, it'll throw obstacles at us. Sometimes it's tragedies, sometimes it's out of your control, sometimes it's in your control. Sometimes some people experience that a little bit more than others. But I've always been fascinated with human beings, because we have this ability to overcome these things that happen to us in our life. And a lot of it's mindset, right? And certainly from being a sports guy yourself, having the right mindset can really do a lot of good. And moving forward, that part of our species and evolving and evolution, that we have to move forward with it. So being able to see the glass half full, being able to pull silver linings from things is a really, really crucial component to moving forward. And so I wanted to ask you if you ever experienced a life challenge, a hardship, anything like that, where maybe you overcame it, maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, maybe you pulled some silver linings from it.
I don't know. I think like just kind of going back to talking about like the fact that I lived in the Philippines. So I think this all kind of ties together, but like I wouldn't say it's tragic or a hardship necessarily, but like I think like your experiences obviously shape you and they pull you in different directions. And I do think like for the most part that things happen to you and they lead you down a path that you kind of maybe were meant to do within reason. And so like if I'm reflecting on just like where I am right now in my life and the how basketball has become such a big part of what my life and what I do with some of my free time, I think I'm really I'm grateful for that. Like it, again, not just Simcoe United, but coaching high school for the last 16 years and coaching other things and working camps and actively playing and meeting people. Like through the game, I've had so many great experiences, and my life I feel grateful for that. And I think if I don't know if I would be here or have those experiences if maybe like going back to my childhood, and it's nothing traumatic or a hardship, but we did move around. Like we did move to 3 or 4 different places. So I think I grew up in northern BC, lived there for the first 10 years of my life. And then my dad got relocated to the Philippines for work. And again, like I said before, that's kind of where basketball started in my life, and I started playing. And we lived there for 2.5 years. And then we moved to Thunder Bay when I was halfway through grade 7. So I think sort of being an introvert naturally, plus moving and not having that kind of, I guess the routine, like that steady group of friends.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I kind of threw myself into basketball, and it was kind of something I could do without, you know, putting myself out there to meet friends or do something. I kind of just relied on that, and but like again through that, I was able to get all of these great experiences and meet people through it. So yeah, I don't know. I just think things happen for a reason, and like I said, maybe all the moving around and um, being an introvert and kind of taking to the game of basketball kind of helped me navigate that. And then, like I said, looking back, um, up to now, I've had a great life, great relationships, great experiences, great memories, all from, an orange ball bouncing on the ground, shooting at a stupid hoop. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Isn't that cool though? Like
yeah,
how like the world of sports, just any team sport out there, how it can shape a young mind, a human being in general, and all the powers that come along with it, the social skills that are developed, the competitive edge, life skills, right? Not giving up, how to face adversity, like so many things that we use in life can come out of a basketball, shooting at hoops, a hockey stick and a puck, football in a field. Sports, it doesn't have to be competitive, but just sports in general, it's a beautiful thing.
yeah, absolutely. And that's that. Sorry, just to touch on that as well is like, yeah, it's like, you know, all of those things, like you said, that you learn through the sport is like super important. It's probably more important than it is more important than the game itself. And that's something that we're always navigating with our athletes now, is like we want you to strive to be the best basketball player you can be, but like if you don't want to, it's okay too. Like you don't have to, just because maybe I was passionate about it and I wanted, or I was able to play or wanted to play. Like if that's not what you really want, it's okay, right? But if it is, we're going to push you, and all of these things, we just know, like you said, we know that there's so many good things come from pushing through that adversity and striving to be the best you can be, whether you achieve your goal or not. That now that I'm older and you can reflect on it and you can see it, we're really we're even more like we're really excited about our program because of all those things. And now we're seeing like kids who, like, we have two athletes who are in their fifth year of high school who are going to be going off to university next year. They're actually going to be coaching one of our grade 7 and 8 team coming up this spring. And so you can already see, like, we have some kids who, like, because of what we're doing, they're like, man, I want to coach, I want to do this. And now there's already all these little side effects that we probably didn't think of 2 years ago when we started, that it's like, yeah, it's kind of snowballing and it's becoming a really cool thing outside of like irrelevant of basketball. Like,
Does that like fill the heart like so much when you go out there because you see a need, you're passionate about it, you go and dedicate all this time, and then you do it for a little while, and now you get to start to see stuff like that. It must just fill your cup, man. Just hearing it sounds like it filling my cup.
yeah, it's good. I mean, again, it's, to be honest, it's not something we said, like, well, I don't want to speak for the other guys, but like, it's not like I set out to be like, oh man, I can't wait. Like, but yeah, like you put your heart and soul into something and you have a passion for it. And then, there's times like I'm up late trying to figure out gym time. There's no gym time in Barrie. So it's like you're scraping the school boards, you're talking to the community centers, you're finding the private school, like you're just trying to scrape together gym time so you can run a program and give the kids the opportunity. And it's easy or you're chasing people for money, or you're whatever, right? All the stuff you probably last thing you want to do. And it's easy just to say, this isn't going to work, let's just shut her down, or but yeah, so it makes it all worth it to when things start to come together and you see some of the cool side benefits of it, for sure.
So I was going to ask you this question. You kind of touched on it a little bit. My question was like, well, where do you guys play? But I guess it's up to, any one of the high schools or schools that are around where they can allocate some of that, that gym time for that hour block or hour and a half, whatever it is, so that you guys can get in there and do your thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's for all extracurricular activities, whether it's basketball, soccer, karate, like everyone's scrounging for gym time. There's a serious lack of gym time in Barrie, probably in Ontario in general, but for sure in Barrie. And so we've been lucky. Like Georgian College has been a really great resource for us. They've been really gracious with getting us some time when they can. The school board's the same. We kind of just piece it together between the community centers, Georgian College, the two school boards. That's pretty much it.
If you had to pick one thing to tell our listeners about your business and you can only pick one, what would that one thing be?
Like it's basically 4 guys who saw a need for a certain demographic of kid that wasn't being serviced in our area, and we felt like we had something to offer and we had the time and energy to do it. And we're really just passionate about, again, we're passionate about trying to help the really dedicated, driven kids that want to pursue playing basketball after high school. We're committed to trying to provide that local option for them. There's a lot of good prep options. There's some people who do it really well, but there's people that can't afford it or can't logistically make it work. So we're committed to making that local providing them with that local option.
Beautiful, man. Well, that was a lot of fun talking about sports, talking about basketball, and certainly all of the good work that you're doing out here in our local community. And so I'm sure there's definitely going to be some people that are going to want to reach out, find out a little bit more about what you guys are doing, even for helping out, connections, that type of thing. So for those who are, what would be one of the best ways they can go ahead and reach you?
The best way, honestly, is our website. Like we around this time last year, we got our website done. So it has, we've tried to make it where it has everything you need to know to learn about what we do, who we are, what we offer, and then obviously contact information. So the website or Instagram would be the two best ways to sort of reach out to us, but also learn about what we're doing. And
And what would be the website?
Simcoe United Basketball.com.
Beautiful. Yeah. Awesome stuff. That was a pleasure to have you on the show. Great conversation. It's always fun to talk about sports, especially when it's someone from our local community. So thanks a lot. Looking forward to potentially doing this down the line.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwithjeffandsean.com. That's gnpwithjeffandsean.com or call 705-413-3775.